The City of Johannesburg is in deep financial trouble with over 22 billion rand in irregular expenditure and a warning from Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana that national funding could soon be cut off. Treasury has given Mayor Dada Morero 14 days to respond as concerns mount over poor governance, collapsing infrastructure and a lack of accountability. Joining us now is the Executive Manager for Local Government at OUTA, Julius Kleynhans, to talk about what the crisis means for the city and for its residents. Julius, good morning. Welcome to the program. Pleasure to have you. The City of Johannesburg now flagged for over 22 billion rand in irregular expenditure, hundreds of millions in fruitless and wasteful spend. From OUTA's perspective, what are the root causes of this financial mismanagement?
Thank you, Iman. Firstly, a lack of consequence management. If you look at it, just over a year ago, we've seen that R1 billion was taken back by Treasury of conditional grants that were unspent. Usually when there's planning taking place and those in charge not spending that money, they should be able to account. The same with the irregular expenditure and fruitful and wasteful expenditure. I think over the last 5 years, the City of Johannesburg has been a pot for looting, and those who are not taking action against those responsible for it, one cannot help but to question whether they're not involved as well. So I think the mayor is feeling the heat at the moment. We're also seeing bomb squads and all kinds of things happening in the city, and yet it is highly questionable how much of this is legal and what or how it's paid for.
We'll come back to that in a moment, but typically, what systems in a healthy, well-functioning city, what systems are supposed to kick in place to create the type of consequence management you're saying has been absent?
Now, firstly, you need a council that effectively has oversight on the performance of a municipality, and they need to regularly monitor that, actually on a monthly to a quarterly basis. So the council itself is failing to hold the city to account. Then also you need competent leadership in the administration of the city itself that has the ability to do the work, free from politics and political interference. And they need to have proper scorecards that pushes them to perform and lift the city and stimulate economic growth. Yet we don't see that. We see very weak performance agreements. We see a lack of consequence management when these KPIs that are very weak are not met. And unfortunately, we see the structure of an executive mayoral system where politicians have control over the administration of a city and not necessarily the city itself. And then I think what's also important to note in the city itself, the group finance has all the power, all the money goes there, yet it runs separate municipal entities like City Power and Joburg Water that's supposed to run those services properly, but the money doesn't go to them. It's not ring-fenced. They don't have proper budgets even to do their work. So I think it's just a political mess, and then the systems that go with it is failing.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, it's natural that the buck would stop with the mayor, but as you've just been sharing with us, this is problematic throughout the council itself, and residents should be asking questions of their representatives on those councils about why they haven't been as effective as they need to be. Treasury is now threatening, Julius, to invoke Section 216, subsection 2 of the Constitution, which essentially cuts off funding. In your view, and given that, how serious is this threat? What would the direct impact on residents be if this funding is frozen?
Look, it sounds severe, and there's a lot of money involved. Now, firstly, there's two kinds of grants. The one is conditional grant, and the other one is unconditional, like your free basic services. Now, we know that the cities received, as an example, last year, 7.5 billion rand for free basic services. Yet it cannot account to the same amount of households who have benefited from this. The same, I think, with conditional grants. You know, when infrastructure upgrades and development needs to take place, I think citizens can see around them that the money hasn't been properly used. So I'm actually curious to see if the minister withholds the money, if it will make a difference in the city. I think those funds have been looted severely, and we are yet to see the fruits of that work. So I hope that this is a good opportunity to really apply good pressure on the mayor and the delegation in council, knowing that next year is local elections, knowing that the G20 is around the corner, and with the presidential intervention, allowing for the work that needs to be done from this very same budget of the city. I think it is highly questionable on how funds are being ring-fenced, and I think next year we're going to see a lot more regular expenditure that's occurred this year. Unfortunately, the Auditor General reports only come a year to two later.
So the mayor, and you referenced this, recently introduced that so-called bomb squad to accelerate and fix service delivery. As you look at it, is it an intervention that should be taken seriously? I think you've already hinted that from your perspective, it feels like it's more of a PR exercise, but missing the real governance issues that are needed to make a significant and credible turnaround in the city.
No doubt. If the mayor was serious, then those who didn't do their jobs, their heads would have rolled already. Why would you bring in more people above them and then more people above them? We have to start fixing the root cause of the problems. We need competent people who have the space and tools to do their work so that they can serve the public better. If the water was running properly, there wasn't leaks, and electricity was always accessible, there will be economic stimulation, and then we will see the economic hub of the country grow and people getting jobs and things like that. And we won't see presidential intervention. I think this is a political power play between the current mayor and the president himself, because there is intervention from national government, yet now we're seeing these alternatives coming to play. And then you also see the shifts internally with acting municipal management and acting COOs with no authority. They haven't been properly instituted, and I think that is really a big problem.
Yeah, and I think, you made the comment there, and I think it probably resonates for a lot of residents, is that you have people assigned to roles that seem to be ineffective. Then you need the oversight, and then you need oversight over that. And it's almost as if we've lost sight of the responsibility that, deployees or people have in just doing their jobs and getting things done without needing another layer of accountability. I mean, there are pieces of legislation in the Municipal Public Finance Management Act, for example, that should be able to keep our money straight and accounted for without it disappearing or being looted, as you mentioned earlier on. So again, how do we bring this back? I mean, from the brink, because what you are describing and what's been described sounds like we're barreling towards a governance collapse.
No doubt. I think we are very close to that. We can already see that the city doesn't have proper systems in place or control over its own finances. We see annually that they are budgeting unfunded budgets and passing them in council, which is illegal, by the way. The council should be dissolved after things like that. Yet we don't see any consequence management. So we will have to look at a different structure. It's not working. The political structure as it is not working. The coalition governments are not working. We need to be a bit more innovative, I think, moving forward, ensuring that whoever fulfills a councillor's role, as an example, are properly qualified and competent to do that work. We need other sets of accountability where we apply mechanisms where you can actually start measuring or testing whether people are involved with fraud or corruption or not. And I think structures like your MPAC, that's basically your council, Municipal Public Accounts Committee. I think we need to start looking at how can we bring professional people in who are protected to actually hold to account. I think the executive mayoral structure is fundamentally flawed. An accounting officer in a municipality must be the municipal manager or the city manager. It's legally required like that, and there's consequences for them. There's no consequences in law for the mayor for making executive decisions whatsoever, except by vote. And I think that needs to be fixed immediately. Then there's a lot of good people in the city of Johannesburg that are very frustrated. I'm talking about employees themselves. If they get proper leaders who are competent in place, I think the system will work itself out and we will have a good functional city. But this political plays that we see needs to stop immediately.
All right, so another piece of paper is going to present itself in the system. Julius, this is the 2-week deadline to respond to the Treasury's concerns about financial health. So they've now got to come up with a plan to curb wasteful expenditure and all of that. I mean, okay, what do you expect to see in this plan? What to you would make this plan sound like a credible opportunity to, again, do something and trigger a turnaround?
Look, I hope that the minister is doing this as a matter of process and then actually acting on it. I think we've seen enough plans on paper, and one of the biggest problems with this government is the failure to act and implement plans. There's no lack of plans in the country. This problem has been reoccurring annually. It's not this year only. We know that local government elections are around the corner, so I think we're about to see some serious intervention to start seeing a change, hopefully for maybe the ANC, and I don't want to get into politics, but to fix things before the local elections so that they can retain power when it comes. But I don't see a real change for as long as they start addressing the root causes of the problem, and that is really the lack of consequence management. If we started seeing people held to account because of the failure of performance and not doing their jobs, or for those who are looting, then we'll start seeing a change. But for as long as that doesn't happen, I doubt that the city will turn itself around.